Hello racers! Today we are going to uh, tell you about our performance on the pre-releases. So I went to 3 pre-releases in shops Rebel, Ale Planszówki and Chrome, and SIP went to 4 of them.
Yep. So Wilczek, Squad of Gier twice, and also Canis Lupus. And yeah, I think we can start off by talking about the decks that we've played. So on the screen you can see my Ray Green from Wilczek. I went 4-0 there. And the main star of this deck, I would say, is the early game plays that I was able to find in the packs. So mainly the Deserter Clone. So one cost 2/3 with Restore and Bounty that draws a card, and also the one cost 2/2 Lieutenant. So the main reason why they were so good is because of Ray. Basically, on the very first round, you could just play one of these guys, and then as the next action, you could give the experience token. So in practice, they were 2/3, 3/3, or 3/4 unit on the first round, which basically traded up with most of the opponent early game plays, and that was just a huge advantage in the early stages of the game. The downside of this deck was the fact that I didn't really manage to get that much of the late game. Like there is only 1/6 drop and nothing more expensive than that. Also, not many smuggle cards. Basically, only the ship with Sentinel, which was not a great card, and also the healing card. But the healing card was kind of surprisingly pretty good. I mean, there were quite a few situations where where opponents thought he had lethal, and I just was like, haha, joke's on you. I'm gonna play this card from Smuggled, heal for free, and then because of that, I'm gonna stay alive. And yeah, I've managed to win 1 or 2 games because of that. So yeah,
Uh,
basically every single time I was just using this card with Smuggle.
I
Mm.
think I will also add that you said to me that Bounty Guild Initiate performed better than you expected, and
Yeah,
I actually used that advice in the future.
yeah,
So
exactly. I mean, uh, first when I saw the bounty hunter initiate, I was like, "Oh, this card is just useless because I don't have any bounty hunters." But then when I was like really looking through my cards, because yeah, as you can see on on the screen, this deck doesn't seem that great. I
yeah,
mean, I really had very weak options that day. Like my other options was playing like Bosk with only Rich Reward, which was also a terrible deck. So yeah, I just decided to went with this Ray and
yeah,
ended up working well. And the reason why the initiate was good is because he was just a one cost 1/2, which could receive an experience token on the very first round. So he was basically a 2/3/4/2 on the first round, which was just an okay 2 drop. And yeah, that was pretty good. One card that was quite underwhelming was the the Graffler. So 2 costs upgrade that gave +2/+2 to a unit, and also gave an ability to exalt the defender on attack. And this one was the reason why this card was awkward is because upgrading units that are not your leader who is not particularly that good in the set. I mean, it's really alright, but because there are a lot of capture events and a few bounce effects, it was sometimes just really underwhelming when I play this upgrade on
yeah.
my free drop
I
or
think the
something like that. And
I think the
yeah,
big difference was that you couldn't upgrade your ships. Like in the previous set, the academy training uh, was amazing because you could upgrade the ship. It was really very versatile. Uh, and Grappler was just a little bit underwhelming. Also, especially in the deck you've made, it didn't really give you enough to trade up. So even if you buffed like Retainer, he would still have 4 HP and would probably die to something. So
yeah. So yeah, basically the Grappler was quite underwhelming, and also the one thing that makes Grappler slightly weaker is with Ray is the fact that uh, you really want to play upgrades on your unit when it's ready and can attack that round. And the thing about Ray is the fact that she has 2/6 stat line, and then on attack ability to give experience token to a unit with 2 attack. And because she has 2 attack baseline, you can attack with her and then give experience to herself, which is a really good thing to do. But if you play the Grappler on her, you can't do that anymore before you attack. So yeah, that was also a awkward part about the Grappler.
Yeah, okay, so and this tournament was on Friday, and mine was a day later in Rebel. It was a quite the biggest tournament I went from the pre-release. There was 36 people, so we played 6 rounds. I went 5-1. I've lost the last round. I was the only player with 5-0 before, and even though I lost, I still won the tournament because in top 8 I played almost everybody, so my standings were really good. And this deck performed incredibly well. It's basically the SIPs deck from day before, but better.
Exactly.
So yeah, my early game is really similar. My mid game was like the biggest point of the deck because to take captive and Concord Interceptor were really like a big boosts to the deck, and the late game was just insane. Riken performed really well, but my favorite card from this deck is definitely the Gauntlet. So 5 mana, 4/6 ship that moves upgrades. This ship saved I think 3 or 4 games for me. One game was really funny because I've moved upgrade from an opponent unit to another unit, so he didn't have lethal on the first attack, and I've managed to kill him because he got initiate. I couldn't kill his unit, and it was dealing 8 damage because of the experience token. I played Gauntlet, it moved that experience token to another unit, and he was lacking 1 damage to kill me. So that was really really fun. And 2 cards that are worth mentioning is Sugi and Beckett, because I basically only played those cards from Smuggle, because Beckett has a Smuggle for 5, but with Vigilance instead of Cunning, and Sugi has Smuggle for 6, but only 1 Vigilance, so you don't need to pay additional 2. And both of those cards were really clutch in the later stages of the game. Because when we were top decking and my opponent was playing something smaller, I would just 4/5 and basically draw a card, and it was enough to swing the game.
This deck seems really good. I mean, it just seems like a better version of my Friday deck. But one thing that is slightly weaker than mine is, I think, the 2-drops. I feel like you have basically only 5 good 2-drops, and the 2 ships that are quite underwhelming. Because Privateer, the Privateer crew, the 2/2 for 2,
it's basically
only a Smuggle.
It's basically a 6-drop. But the card that surprised me, like really on the good side, was the backup. So 2 mana, 1/4. It was really decent to play. It was hard to remove from the opponent and easy to buff. And the card that like made my opponent almost rage quit was Scanning Officer, because on 4 resources I played her. I picked 3 of the resources for my opponent, and all of them were Smuggle cards. So he lost 3 resources that turn. And I basically won the game because of it, because the value of playing the whole turn and my opponent missing not only 3 cards from resources, but also 3 active resources was enough to swing it.
Okay, so while we're on topic of the officer, I had a similar game. Like first game I noticed that my opponent has this Scanning Officer, and then in the second game I was like very cautious about resourcing the smuggled cards in the early stages of the game. Like I had 2 Chewbacca's and stuff like that, and I didn't really want it getting removed from the officer.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go for your next tournament.
Yeah. So this is the Saturday tournament. It was organized by Squad Gear. I went 5-0, and this deck was just a monster. Like, you can see how much top end I have. Like, I have the Mandalorian as a legendary. This guy was really good. Like, the fact that I could play him on 6 resources as a sentinel that could really help raise revive on the field was a huge deal. His ability when played is quite clunky. Like, you get the healing and 2 shield token on a 2 cost unit, or I think 1 drop also count for him. But yeah, those were I only managed to use this ability like once or twice during the whole tournament. So yeah, the main reason was just to having a really good sentinel on the right turn. Also, I had a really good top end besides Mandalorian. I had Tarful, uh, Chewie. So Tarful was the guy that in the one game I was playing against Han, and basically I attacked with him the 4/4 unit that has a bounty that allows you to deal 2 damage to an enemy unit when it dies. So I attacked with Tarful this guy. I killed him. Then, because Tarful received 4 damage, I was able to kill another unit with Tarful's ability, and because of the bounty on that unit, I was able to kill another target. So basically, triple kill on that one attack, and that was
Yeah.
really nice play.
And
Yeah.
re-
Also,
and
Chewbacca.
and restore too.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I had Chewbacca, so just a free takedown when he entered play. Also, a really strong unit. Also, IG, a lot of good removal.
Yeah,
Like,
that
this
deck
deck was
this deck is
yeah, it was
insane. You have
yeah.
two HWK for the space arena, Rivals Fall and Folded Dragon for removal. If I would change something for the deck to be better, is probably the Rocket Quad Troopers for some other 2 drops, but
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I mean,
I
it is
I would
yeah.
not want to play versus this deck.
Yeah, it was really funny because I played this deck the very next day after playing the green one, and I was like, "Oh wow, this Ray deck is like 3 times better than the one from the day before." So I was like really happy to play with this one, and it was
Yeah,
pure
yeah,
pleasure to
it's
play with
insane.
this one.
Yeah, you basically put everything that the first one was lacking. You got like twice of it
Yeah,
in this one.
exactly.
Yeah, and actually on my second day I also got a sick deck. So my second tournament was in Chrome. I went 4-0 and got first place, and I went with Han. That this deck was absurdly strong. Uh, the amount of turn one plays and the power of them, like almost every game was almost done on like turn 3 or 4 because I had such a big advantage. Uh, so wanted Insurgents as a first turn play 4-2, or Outlaw Corona as a 3-3 were just insanely strong. But like the strongest card in this deck is by far the Flamethrower. So if I manage to play something on turn 1, attach a Flamethrower on turn 2 and attack, it was basically a game over. The Flamethrower is such an incredibly abusive card in Limited. If my opponent didn't have removal, and a lot of removal in this set is based if you have a unit, so capture and stuff like that. And if I had a unit with Flamethrower, they never had an ability to use any capture card because I would just kill everything that enters play. And the other card that performed above expectations was Pillage. I had one copy, but the deck was I could play in the way that I was trading with my opponent a lot, and like on turn 5-6, if my opponent was still alive, I would take initiative, pillage as a first action. He would basically have an empty turn, and I would swing from that. Also, I had my 5 drops were the big ships, and so even if I somehow lost on the ground in the early, I would just close the game in space. And Jabba's Rancor of color for 9 was really Like if the game were going to the later stages of the game, I could just wait those 2 resources, and impact of a 9/7 for 9 with an ability to deal 3 damage was really weak. I was also a little bit surprised about Choose Sides. This card performed much better than I anticipated, giving my opponent a like 1 drop for his big threat or for his bomb was something that most people didn't expect, and it was also it also made few games really easy. Okay, so let's go to Mikołaj next tournament.
Okay, so this is my yellow ray. So this is a Sunday pre-release at Canis Lupus. And yeah, I went 4-0. And yeah, as you can see on the screen, this is another ray deck. I mean, I just got really good cards for her. I had another option of going with Boba Yellow, but the problem was the fact that I didn't really got many good turn 1 plays. And yeah, with Ray, I just could use the bounty guild initiate, so the 1 drop that benefits from the bounty hunters, and make it into a decent turn 1 play with Ray. Also the farmers. So yeah, this deck had quite good early game because of the Ray, and yeah, so if I played Boba, it wouldn't be the case. So yeah, that's why I went with Ray. I picked yellow because I got 2 Fennecs, and the Fennec was just a really strong card. I mean, I had one game that was really funny. I've played against one of my friends, and we were playing a second game in best of 3, and I've played Fennec, and the Fennec I've played was in Hyperfoil variant, and then he asked me, wait, what? Wasn't the Fennec that you played in the first game just a basic version? I was like, yes, she was. And then he realized that I had a second Fennec, and he was like, oh my god, this is gonna be over pretty soon. And I really laughed at that moment. Like, it was something that I haven't thought about, but yeah, it was an insane moment. Also, I had the 3/5 for 3 unit that is really strong. Jetpack was really fun. I mean, I had one game where I played Sugi from when I played Sugi and against Saxon, and then because Saxon has so many upgrades, she had basically Sentinel all the time, and then I played Jetpack on her, so gave her a shield token, and then she could trade easily with Saxon that had an upgrade or 2 on him, and it was just a really huge swing in that game. Also, I played Take Captive for 5 resources just because I want more removal, and Take Captive for 5 seems like a legit option.
This deck looks really strong, and I like Ray is really strong because she can utilize like most Moisture Farmer is basically a useless card in any other deck. But with Ray, it's amazing. It's a 1 mana, 2 mana, 1/5 that will grow, and also doesn't really allow your opponent to attack your base. So this unit performs really well. And on my Sunday deck, I also played Yellow Ray, so I copied a little bit here. And my Ray was a little bit different because it was basically a Mandalorian Ray. So I played like 5 Mandalorians. Instead of Fennecs, I have Enfys Nest. This card is extremely strong. I got 2 liberated slaves that that I've noticed they are Wookiees, like in my last game when it mattered because I also have Tarful. So that was really fun. The funniest game during the whole tournament was semifinals. I've went 4-0 with the deck and won, but the semifinals was the only game I lost. And in all 3 games, I one of the BO3 I won 2-1, but I lost the second game because in all 3 games on 6 resources I was like, I will deploy Ray. Ray got Rival's Fall. I said pass. My opponent deployed Saxon. I rival fault his Saxon, and we repeat the same thing in all 3 games. But versus Saxon, Evidence of the Crime was such a swingy card. Like whenever I stole his shield on any of my units, it was basically over. The second game I lost because I've resourced. I had a choice between resourcing Relentless Pursuit or Evidence of the Crime, and I thought, yeah, removal is important in limited, so I should keep Relentless Pursuit. But if I would keep Evidence of the Crime, I would win that game almost 90% of the times, because I lost because of the Sentinel shielded card, the 5 mana 4/4 shielded, because I couldn't. My plays were really awkward because everything I had was had 4 HP, so I basically lost 3 cards to it. Yeah, the deck, I think from all my decks, this is by far the strongest one. I also had the one game that I played Rey, attacked with her, and the next turn I've made her into a Mandalorian with Foundling and gave her Mandalorian armor to give her a shield. And she was something like 5'11". That was basically my opponent didn't play blue, so he had no card to remove her, and it was like, yeah, swing for 8, like for 5 damage and restore 3, and I didn't even need to play any other card this game to win. So this was by far the easiest deck to win. The 2 other cards that performed above my expectations were the 5 mana 5/6 Saboteur. I knew there is a lot of shielded units in the set, but the amount of shielded unit and sentinels in the set is really big, and he basically trades with all of them and survives. And also he's a bounty hunter, so he works with Relentless Pursuit. And the other card was the Outlaw, so 4 mana 4/4 that exhausts something when attacks. I didn't anticipate that that ability to exhaust will be that annoying for my opponents, because whenever I had initiative, I would just lock one of their units, and it was really awkward for them because they played something, I played something, they attacked, I took initiative, and repeat the same process the next turn.
Yeah, exactly. I think I forgot to mention that. I think I also had this guy in my
You had it.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, this guy is really good because he can exhaust leaders, and that makes a huge difference in a lot of cases. So yeah, I think we kinda underestimated him at the start.
Yeah, I think, but I mostly played him for a 4 mana, because whenever I had him on resource, paying 6 for a 4/4 was really awkward. But when I played him on the third turn, he was really good.
I've played him. I don't know. I've played him like 50-50.
I also played him for 6, but for 6 he felt a little bit lacking. Like it wasn't the same. As 4/4 he was just I think better, because the cards that I really liked to play from Smuggle had immediate effect of on the game. So like in my hand deck, there was a Weeping Patrol Gang, 5 mana 3/3 ambush. And I wouldn't expect that it would be a decent play for 5 mana, but I've played it like in like half of my games, just because it traded really well for something in that moment. And also I would also add that Covered Strength is an amazingly strong card. Like healing for 2 and giving something +1/+1. It was such an annoying when my opponent dealt 2 damage to something. I would like, oh, I will heal it, I will buff it. There were like few instances like my opponent attacked my Rey to kill her, and I was like, nope, heal, buff, and now she's invincible. So yeah, this deck was incredible. And lastly, it's SIP's last tournament, and he didn't play Rey.
Yeah, so not Rey. So this tournament was pretty fun in general because, yeah, before we started, because it was also on Sunday, and before I started the first Sunday tournament in Kenslepus, I was like, okay, I mean, do have another pre-release, so because the timetable was quite tight, I wasn't even expecting to manage to get to the second one because uh, it was starting at 11, and then the other one was starting at 4 p.m. So only 5 hours for deck building, and then for 4 rounds of best of three Swiss. So I was thinking that it's gonna be around 5 hours for the whole tournament to take place. So yeah, I thought that it's gonna be possible to make it to the second one, unless I would like lose two of my first games and then just drop the tournament and then go to the other one. But yeah, the fun fact about it was the fact that in case Lupus I went 4-0, and then at the very end I was talking to one of my friends and he was like, hey, yo, maybe do you wanna maybe go to this other pre-release that we have in like 10 minutes? We can just call Uber and then we'll have maybe like 20 less minutes for deck building or something like that. And I was like, okay. So we went to the judge, and yeah, we were able to get the rewards in a few minutes after. So yeah, we just went to the other one a couple minutes late, but yeah, we still managed to build decks. I also won this pre-release, so can't really complain. I went 4-0, and this time not with Ray, but with Boba Yellow. And yeah, as you can see on the deck, on the screen, there are just a lot of ambush effects that synergize really well with Boba. Enfys Nest was one of the stars of this deck because she really buffs each of your ambush units. Like I had one turn when I played the timely intervention, from a smuggle, and played it on the 5 cost 5/6 unit with Saboteur. And I played this guy. I gave him +1 attack from Boba's ability, because Boba was on the field and he is giving +1 to attack to each unit with a keyword. I ambushed Han Solo, leader, and because of Enfys Nest debuff to the defender, Han Solo didn't give me any retaliation damage, so I basically got a free kill on Han, and then because of that, he wasn't really able to play his unit that he wanted to, like it was Rancor, I believe. That was a huge value, so a lot of ambush cards in this deck that worked really well.
I also see you play 2 Frozen in Carbonite of color,
Yeah,
and yeah, for 5 mana this card is still insane.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Frozen, it was really funny because during opening, I was like, "Oh wow, Carbonite, okay, maybe I'll play a villainy yellow." Then in the next pack, I got another one, and then after I opened all 6, I was like, "Oh wow, the yellow villainy doesn't really seem that great because I have 2 Carbonites and then like one copy of this guy, 1/4 for one. The Intimidator, something like that. The guy who exhausts Defender on attack, and that wasn't really enough to make this color good. So I was like, hey, how about play yellow heroes and just play this card for 5? And it was really good value.
Yeah.
And yeah, this card performed really well. I ended up siding it out in my last game in the finals because my opponent was playing Fang Fighters, and also he was playing Han, so he didn't really have that many good targets for this card, so I ended up siding this card out and played a few more early game cards like,
so,
yeah.
As you can see that we only played heroic leaders. We only played heroic leaders in the tournament. And it's, I think, mostly because the villainy leaders are harder to build. So Rey is incredibly strong because you can basically add 90% of cards that wouldn't go anywhere else to her, and she will still be really strong. Same goes for Han. Han is really easy to build with a weird curve because you can adjust when you play your cards. And like in the end, I think the only thing I would like add to the limited tier list and limited parts that we did before is that I didn't anticipate how much stronger heroic synergies will be. Because I think
Yeah.
you can build amazingly strong villainous deck. I've played on my first tournament in Rebel. There was a Jabba deck that was insane. It, it has like 2 Rancors. It has Dryden Voss and like 3 or 4 bounty synergistic cards, like a 4/3 that gets a shield. But even that he had all of them, uh, the Ray deck I was playing was just so consistent in doing like buff, attack, restore. So that I've managed to win 2-1. Uh, so in the end, I
Yeah.
would just say that yeah, especially in sealed, I think it's easier to build heroic decks. But on the other hand, I think in draft, the bounty synergies will become really, really strong.
Yeah, probably. I mean, in Villainy, I think Saxon is relatively easy to build because uh, it's not that hard to get a few upgrades to make him good. And yeah, there are a lot of commons that synergize with him. Catbane and Bosk are decent options, but they require a few cards to synergize with them. Bosk requires you some to have some bounties. Like on the very first day on Friday, I wanted to play Bosk, but then I realized I have just one bounty, and then the fact that I have punishing one and some
Yeah.
other cards that synergize with bounty were just basically useless. So
Yeah,
yeah, I ended
I've
up
actually
with Gray.
I've played a fourth pre-release, but it was during a football match uh, on Euro, and it was without prizes, so it was more like a fun event. And I've played Jabba. The deck was really fun to play. It was a little bit weaker than I expected it to be, because if my opponent just went face, it was a little bit slow. But yeah, I didn't present the deck because it was like a fun event. It was really late, and the deck wasn't really built the best. Uh, but after 4 tournaments, 4 pre-releases, I think that the limited for this set is amazing. It's a really fun to play, but on the other hand, I think it's much harder to play than the first set. Uh, I think we managed to win all of the tournaments mostly because we knew all the cards, we knew all the interactions, and we didn't miss much triggers. And I think a lot of my opponents would be able to win, but they've made a small mistakes that accumulated during the match. So like missing a Boba trigger, forgetting that they have something on Smuggle, uh, and I think later in the later stages when people will remember to play all of the small advantages, it, the set unlimited will be even more fun to play.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of synergies that you like need to like catch because in Spark of Rebellion, the cards were just much more straightforward and easy to understand, and this time around the cards like have quite a few like tricky synergies that you just really
Yeah,
need to pay attention to and
yeah.
find them in the
Even
right
like
situation.
the really fun synergy was with the Jabba deck I've played. That there is a 6 mana 5/5 Covetus card that deals 2 damage to something with bounty when played and on attack. And my opponent was on 7 life, so I've used Jabba to put bounty on myself and attack with him and use on attack trigger to deal him 2 damage and he has grit, so he basically became a 7 attack minion. So there is a lot of small plays you can do, or even like a play with if you are playing Finn, you can play a bounty on yourself and kill it to give it a shield. So there is a lot of like uh, creative ways to play. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think this will be all. Uh, we will still be playing pre-releases. So I have a pre-release tomorrow, and I'm going to Poznań. So we will be playing together soon on a pre-release, and we will see who will win this one.
I mean,
Uh,
I am undefeated so far.
yeah, yeah, I lost the casual one, so you're up on this one. But yeah, we will be playing on 3 tournaments together, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. we are not sure what we are playing on Friday because there's still no information about the pre-release, but we want to play pre-release, and there is a really big tournament during the weekend, so about 70 people, and the first day is pre-release, and the second day is the last tournament of Spark of Rebellion.
Of constructed, yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So for anybody who will be there, say hi to us, and good luck.
Yeah,
Bye.
exactly. Yeah, well, yeah. See ya.